Düsseldorf'ta düzenlenecek Wire ve Tube 2026 Uluslararası Tel, Kablo ve Boru İhtisas Fuarları basın toplantımıza hoş geldiniz. Sizlere Wire ve Tube 2026 ile ilgili güncel bilgi vermek üzere Türkiye'ye gelen konuşmacımızı tanıtmak istiyorum. Metal ve Akışkan Teknolojileri Fuarları Direktörü Sayın Daniel Rüfiş. Şimdi sözü kendisine bırakıyorum.
Merhaba, günaydın. I hope that's correct. These are the only few words in Turkish I know. Dimit, thank you very much for your kind introduction. As you mentioned, my name is Daniel. Because of the fact that my surname, my German surname, is difficult to pronounce, I always say my first name, Daniel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here today on the occasion of our so-called press meeting or press conference for these two wonderful trade fairs, Wire and Tube Düsseldorf. I'm personally very, very happy to be here in Istanbul, in Turkey, because of a few reasons. The first reason is I really love Turkish food, to be honest. And yesterday evening I had the opportunity to have a wonderful Turkish dinner, and I really like the country. This is the first point. The second point is I see Turkey as a very, very important hub between Europe and Asia. This is, in our point of view, a very important fact, political-wise, but also economical-wise. And last but not least, Turkey is, then I'm coming to my exhibitions, is a very, very important key player in the global steel and steel tube production and steel rod or steel wire production. So, combining all these 3 points, I'm very happy to be here. It's very, very important from our point of view to be here and to give all of you today a brief overview about the two leading trade fairs. As you mentioned, the Wire and Tube Düsseldorf, both of them will take place in Düsseldorf in April 2026, from April 13th to April 17th in Düsseldorf. These two exhibitions are leading trade fairs. What does it mean? A world leading trade fair is the most important trade fair for the respective industries, and when it comes to figures, it means that it's the largest exhibition in terms of the number of exhibitors, in terms of the internationality of exhibitors and visitors, in terms of the number of sold square meters. So overall, these two world leading trade fairs are the most important and most relevant trade fairs for the wire, cable, tube and pipe industries in the world. That was a bit too fast. Before I go into details, I would like to share with you our latest image video to give you a better impression of the atmosphere at Wire and Tube Düsseldorf 2004, and to give you a better impression of the machines our exhibitors are displaying. And it's always quite impressive to see that most of the machines are in action. So be excited. but in 2026 we currently expect more than 190 exhibitors from Turkey. 190 exhibitors in wire and tube. This is quite a very, very large number. And behind Germany, Italy, China, Turkey is the fourth strongest nation in wire and tube. This is, for us, very, very impressive, to be honest. Before we go into details, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give you some more brief information about the company I'm working for and about the reasons why we, as Messe Düsseldorf, are the number one. So, in Germany, we are organizing almost 40 trade fairs, and 20 of them are world leading trade fairs. As I mentioned, the world leading trade fair is the most important, most relevant trade fair for the respective industries. So we do a medical show, a world leading trade fair for the medical industry, for the packaging, for the plastics and rubber, for the winery, for printing, so for many different industry sectors. And we are really, really proud of it. We are doing 65 trade fairs abroad. 2 of them are the wire and tube Eurasia. So we started our business, our own trade fair here in Turkey, in Istanbul, in 2023, together with a local partner. And the exhibition is called Wire and Tube Eurasia. And it's quite a simple fact. Why are we doing a show in Turkey? The fact is that Turkey has a very, very strong domestic market and very strong steel and steel tube industry. So therefore it makes sense to do such an event here in Istanbul. So Düsseldorf is, frankly speaking, compared with Istanbul, an example, a small village. Düsseldorf is very, very small. Yeah, you're right. Very, very small compared to Istanbul. But within a radius of 1 hour drive, we can reach 11.4 million people and more than 500,000 companies. In Germany, we often say, or in Düsseldorf, we often say that Düsseldorf is the heart of Germany and the heart of Europe because of the perfect location. We have an airport next to our fairground, train stations. We have so many different hotels. We have the very well-known old town where you can, during the exhibition, where you can find many, many exhibitors and visitors from all over the world. So that's Düsseldorf. Why are we so international? Because of the fact that we are working together with 77 foreign representatives. They are located all around the globe. We are really, really happy to work with Tejulas, the company Tejulas here in Istanbul, since many, many decades. It's a wonderful cooperation, and they are one of the reasons why we are so successful in Düsseldorf, but also here in Istanbul. This way, thank you very much, David. And we have 7 international daughter companies. So we have an office in Chicago, we have offices in Singapore, in the Emirates, in India, in China. Wherever we see a huge potential of exhibitors and visitors, we are considering to place a daughter company. So, now I've spoken a lot about Messe Düsseldorf. Now I would like to go into details. Wire and Tube 2026, what can we expect? We expect, again, almost 2,700 exhibitors, and we hope to sell more than 120,000 square meters. Just to give you an impression, I don't know whether you are a football fan. I know, or I've learned that here in Istanbul has a couple of great soccer or football teams like Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, Beşiktaş, and so on and so on. And a usual soccer field has a size of 7,000 square meters. And we are planning to sell 120,000 square meters net. So you can imagine how many soccer fields you need to reach the number of 120,000 square meters net. And we see it as a success because we all read newspapers, we all listen to the news. There are a lot of things going on in the world. There are US tariffs on steel products, on steel tubes. We have high energy costs in Europe. There's still a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. There are political issues between the United States and China, and so on and so on. So the world is full of challenges and full of uncertainties. And this figure of almost 2,700 exhibitors is a proof of what we are doing in Düsseldorf. It underlines the importance of a global platform like Wire and Tube, because especially in these times, it is absolutely necessary to get in contact with each other. Doesn't matter whether the people are coming from Turkey, from the United States, from Germany, from the Netherlands, from Africa or from Asia. It's important to exchange knowledge. It's important to learn more about the latest innovation, about the news, trends and highlights. So therefore, we are very, very excited to run that event in April 2026. But now let's deep dive into Wire Düsseldorf. The last show in 2024 was a really groundbreaking event. It was by far the largest Wire Düsseldorf that has ever taken place in Düsseldorf, with almost 1,500 exhibitors from more than 50 countries on a net space of 67,000. As I mentioned, the soccer field has usually 7,000 square meters. When you put almost between 9 and 10 soccer fields or football fields in a row, you could imagine how big the Wire Düsseldorf was in 2024. And almost 60,000 visitors from 132 countries streamed to Düsseldorf in 2024. That's also quite impressive. By the way, this is also a point why I'm working the trade fair business more than 16 years. The trade fair business is always very, very challenging. And what we are doing is we bring the people from all over the world together during these 5 days. People from 132 countries are coming to Düsseldorf in order to learn more about machines, about news, about trends, about highlights. So what we are doing is bringing the world together. So to be successful, you need not only exhibitors but also visitors. Here I would like to start with the exhibitors. And in 2026, for the first time in the history of Wire Düsseldorf, we will present the entire value chain of wires and cables. What does it mean? So our exhibitors will present the typical raw materials for the production of wire rods. We have exhibitors coming from the steel production. We have exhibitors who are producing machines for the wire and cable manufacturing and finishing. And last but not least, and that's brand new in 2026, we now also offer the cable producers a new home. So usually the cable producers are our visitors because they are coming to the show in order to buy the machines for the production of cables. But now the cable producers itself, they also have an opportunity to take part in Wire Düsseldorf. Later on I will give you some more details. So most of our exhibitors are coming from the wire manufacturing finishing side, the cable manufacturers coming from the process engineering side, materials and so on and so on. And we are very, very proud to have the technology leaders at Wire Düsseldorf same as at TÜV Düsseldorf. So our exhibitors are coming from 59 countries. Most of them were from Europe. It's of course Germany, Italy, but followed by Turkey. At Wire 2026, as far as I'm right, we expect almost 120 exhibitors at Wire Düsseldorf in 2026. So 35% of all exhibitors came from Asia. Of course, the strongest nations in Asia are India and China. We see strong interest and demand coming from India. This time, followed by America with 5.6%. The strongest nation in America is, of course, the United States, followed by Brazil and Mexico. 0.6% from Africa and 0.3% from Australia. For the upcoming show in 2026, we also see, or have realized, a strong increase from companies coming from the MENA region. I know Africa is quite a large continent, but from the northern part of Africa and from the Emirates and Saudi Arabia, we have realized a very strong increase in the number of exhibitors. So I spoke about the exhibitors. Now I would like to inform you more about the visitors. The Wire Düsseldorf as well as the TÜV Düsseldorf, both of them are decision maker shows. What does it mean? Almost 70% of our visitors are coming from the top management and from the C-level management. So these are the top decision makers. But what we have learned over the past two exhibitions from our exhibitors is that they are more and more interested in also seeing the end users at the show. So the end users are the people who are working with the machines day by day. So it's not only or no longer necessary to meet the top management, the decision makers. Now they also want to meet the end users, because when the end users are convinced of a product, of a machine, they become a strong advocate when it comes to purchasing decisions. So most of all visitors are coming from the wire industry, from the cable industry. We mean with the wire and cable industry, we mean mainly the wire and cable producers, followed by the wire and cable dealers, the automotive industry, of course, electro industry, construction industry, and chemical industry. Please do not wonder, the number of 59,000 visitors is the same number which I will show you when I'm talking about TÜV Düsseldorf. The reason is quite simple. We only have one registration. So the visitors who are registering, they register for both shows, but they can place an attention what they would like to see. But nevertheless, we have one visitor registration. So therefore the numbers at TÜV Düsseldorf are the same. I mentioned that they came from 132 countries, 76% from Europe, followed by Asia, Americas, Africa, and Australia. So what are the key topics of Wire Düsseldorf? We define these 5 key topics. What does it mean? It means that these topics are the current drivers of the wire and cable industry. Of course, first of all, automotive industry. We all know that the world is discussing and negotiating about how can we reduce the climate change? How can we reduce CO2 emissions? How can we produce more sustainable in future? How can we produce green steel? And so on and so on. So the world is talking about many, many different topics. And the electromobility, of course, is just a small part of the entire discussions. And in each EV, you need much more cables than in the usual combustion car. Renewable energies, of course, the demand for high voltage and low voltage cables is increasing since a few years. When we're talking about offshore wind parks, when we're talking about getting power from the sun, the PVs, and so on and so on. Wherever you produce energy, renewable energy, you need cables. So therefore the demand for medium and high voltage cables is increasing. We are talking about artificial intelligence. You need huge centers to handle AI, and they also need very, very high amount of cables. So these 5 topics are, in our opinion, the most important topics. These are the topics the industry is talking about, and during our Fuarı Dusseldorf, we offer our exhibitors and visitors to learn more about these topics. We have special conference areas where our customers can exchange their experience, their knowledge about these trends and key topics. The second important exhibition is the Tube Dusseldorf. It is also a world-leading trade fair, the most important, most relevant trade fair for the steel production and steel tube industries, global industries. A brief look back into 2024. More than 1,200 exhibitors streamed to Düsseldorf on a net space of 52,000 square meters. And as I mentioned, the numbers of visitors are the same because of the registration. There's no exhibition in the world which is related to the tube industries, steel tube industries, that have or has more exhibitors and more sold square meters. This is absolutely unique, and this is currently our USP. Where do our exhibitors come from? We are displaying the entire value chain at Tube Dusseldorf already since many, many years. So we have everything, starting with the raw materials, to the companies who are producing the huge plants for the production of steel and steel tubes. We have the exhibitors who are producing the machines for, for example, bending and cutting of steel tubes. And last but not least, we have the tube suppliers at Düsseldorf. So we cover the entire value chain. What I always say is, for every for every company that is working in the steel tube industry, or that needs steel tubes, like companies coming from the chemical, oil, gas, and chemical industries, the show is a must attend event. You need to see the show. You need to learn more about the latest news, trends, and highlights, because this event is unique. Our exhibitors are coming mainly from Europe, 54% from Europe, followed by Asia. Here again, China and India are the strongest nations. This is, by the way, also an additional point why the Turkish industry, steel tube industry, is so important for Europe, is because the production of steel tubes in Turkey is often much cheaper compared to the production in countries like Germany and like Italy. And what we see currently is that China has again a really overproduction of steel and steel tubes. So what are they doing? They move all their tubes to the world, to all different countries, with the result that the prices for European steel tubes are declining. The margin is declining, and so on and so on. And Turkey has the opportunity to produce high quality steel tubes to a lower price, which is for many industries in Europe quite interesting, quite important. But of course the products coming from China are still cheaper, but the quality is not as good as the quality coming from Turkey. So therefore this is an additional point why the Turkish steel tubes or steel products are very important for Germany. Especially for Germany, but also for the other European countries. Where do our visitors coming from? The decision makers, the top management visitors. They are mainly coming from the tube and pipe industry, industries followed by the chemical industries, heating, oil and gas and water industries, and construction industries, of course. So I always say, this is also a question for all of you, can you imagine a world without wire, cables and tubes? Put your hands up when you're convinced that a world without wire, cables, tubes and pipes would work. No one? That's true. Because wires and cables are indispensable goods. Without wire and cables, we wouldn't have this kind of microphone, we wouldn't have light, we wouldn't be able to drive a car, we would have nothing. So, a world without shoes is difficult, but it's possible. A world without wine is for some people difficult, but it's possible. But a world without wires and cables, tubes and pipes, it's impossible. We wouldn't be able to transport fresh water from A to B, or gas for heating from A to B. We wouldn't have cars and so on. So therefore, our industries are very important for the development of our countries and ourselves. Same figures as I've already mentioned. Most of the visitors are coming from Europe, followed by Asia, America, Africa, and Australia. Our key topics, which we have defined together with our associations, are the following four: construction, automotive, oil and gas industry, and chemical industries. Of course, the world is talking about how can we produce green power. It is possible, and especially in Germany, we have invested a lot of money in the infrastructure of wind parks, offshore parks, PV parks, and so on and so on. But nevertheless, we all still need oil and gas. So therefore, despite of all the discussions, the oil and gas industry is still the most relevant industry for the tube and pipe industries. Of course, followed by chemical and so on and so on. So, here, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to let you know about what we are planning in 2026, what is new, what is not really new, but what we will on what we will put a focus. I mentioned it, our key topics. Our intention is to not only bring the world together, but also to help our exhibitors and visitors to learn more about the key topics, the hot topics, about the topics the world is talking about. Two of them are hydrogen, renewable energies, our e-mobility. So we have two conference areas, two large conference areas at Wire and Tube. For the Tube, it is located in hall number 1, and for the Wire show, it is located in hall number 30. It is the main place where you can learn about the latest news, trends, and innovations, and learn more about the hot topics which we have defined. And we started 4 years ago at Tube Dusseldorf, and I must say that all the discussions, the keynote speeches, all of them were very, very well attended. And this is a proof that the exhibitors and visitors would like to learn more about it. So, stainless steel, this topic is not new, but I don't want to miss to tell you that Wire and Tube is the largest and the biggest stainless steel community in the world. More than 300 companies from all over the world, which are working in the field of the stainless steel production or suppliers of stainless steel products. They are participating in Wire and Tube. That's quite a large number. I also mentioned that in 2026 the Wire Dusseldorf show will complete the entire value chain. And the wires and cables are the backbone of our industries, are the backbone of our daily life. So therefore, in 2026, located in hall number 13, we will officially announce a new area, a new special area called World of Cables, where the cable producers from all over the world can attend and, of course, can show their cables. And so far, when we started it a couple of months ago, we expected almost 10 exhibitors for the first time, but now we have reached the number of 13, and that makes us quite happy. Another special topic in 2026 are the springs and fasteners and the mesh welding machines. I don't know who's planning to attend the Wire and Tube in 2026 from you. Anyone attending or planning to attend? No one? Okay. When you ever should visit the Wire Dusseldorf or Tube Dusseldorf, you must make a stop in hall number 17, because this is the mesh welding machine hall. It's very, very impressive to see how the machines are working. They are very, very loud. They are producing much noise, and compared to the other machines, these are quite interesting and quite impressive. So plastic tubes and pipes, what we have realized over the past few years is, despite of the fact that the Tube Dusseldorf is a steel tube exhibition, more and more plastic tubes and pipes are becoming. Because plastic tubes are cheaper to produce, easy to handle compared to steel tubes, and the transport is much easier and cheaper. So therefore we have a dedicated area in hall number 1 for the plastic tubes and pipe producers and suppliers. I'm now more or less coming to the end of my presentation. Messe Dusseldorf has established an initiative called Eco-Metals. We already spoke about sustainability, about climate change, about all these topics. And with this initiative, Eco-Metals, our intention is to support our exhibitors to put and to place their sustainable ideas more in focus. So if you want to learn more about the initiative, please check our website. We have a lot of information about the initiative called Eco-Metals, as well as about this second initiative called High Potential Metals. I can imagine that it's not only a problem in Germany, but also many other different countries in the world, is how can we attract the brightest minds? How can we attract the perfect, skilled worker? So this initiative, High Potentials, is an initiative that will combine and bring universities, schools, high schools, together with our exhibitors to help the students or high-skilled workers to get in contact with the exhibitors, with the companies who are looking for new stuff. Also, more information you can get through our website. These information are not so important for you. A word for you. When I'm talking about a word for you, now let's see whether the pointer works perfect. So this here is the entire fairground in Düsseldorf. There are still 2 other exhibition halls which are not in use during Wire and Tube. So we will cover the entire fairground. Here on the left side, the colorful exhibition halls. These halls belong to the Tube show. Starting with hall number 1, 3, and 4, these 3 exhibition halls belong to the Tube suppliers, Tube accessory suppliers, and steel tube producers. While the halls 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, they are belonging to the machinery side, for the machines, for the production, for the finishing, and the processing of steel tubes. And on the other side, the darker halls belong to the wire. Hall number 17, you can find the mesh welding. In hall number 16, you can find the springs and fasteners. Not only the end products, but also the machines. And the other halls, 9 to 15, they are mixed with all companies coming from the wire and cable production industries. In hall number 1, you will find the special conference area for the tube. And in hall number 13, you will find the conference area for the wire Düsseldorf. So that's all. I would like to introduce you also to another trade fair, which will take place in Düsseldorf in April 2027. The show is called Steel Expo, USE. It is the ultimate world of cutting and welding. Why do I introduce you to this new trade fair format? Because welding cutting is a process which is also needed in tube and pipe and wire and cable industry. So just an example, all steel tubes and pipes you need to cut and you need to weld. So therefore, we do see a lot of synergies between Steel Expo and the wire and tube. Yes. So the show will take place every 4 years, also in Düsseldorf. The premiere will be in April 2027. We are planning at the beginning 4 exhibition halls, and the interest of the global key players is currently very, very positive. And as I mentioned, we do see a lot of synergies between wire tube and USE. I've also mentioned that we not only do a wire and tube in Düsseldorf. Unfortunately, this is not the latest version of our global map, because we not only do a wire in Mexico, but also a tube. We do a wire and a tube in China. We do a wire and tube in Thailand, Bangkok, in India, of course, in Africa, Cairo, in Turkey, Istanbul, and last but not least, a very small satellite show in Saudi Arabia so far, so that we are able to cover the entire world. And last but not least, this is our entire Düsseldorf team, my colleagues from my project team, from the marketing, press, PR, and so on. And yeah, thank you very much for your attention. It was a pleasure. And yeah.
World Media Group Genel Yayın Yönetmeni İlker Kaplan ben. Öncelikle Daniel Bey'e hoş geldiniz diyorum. Şimdi iki tane sorum olacak benim. Birisi daha sektörle ilintili bir soru. İkincisi ise genel dünya ile ilgili ve bunun sektöre yansımalarıyla ilgili bir soru olacak. İlk sorum, şimdi Almanya Makine Derneği Başkanı, Makine İmalatçıları Derneği Başkanı Doktor Markus Ehling'in bir yazısı vardı. Biz de yayınladık onu. Geçen yıl, 2025 yılı içerisinde makine imalat sektöründeki siparişlerde, Almanya'daki siparişlerde bir düşme olduğunu anlatan bir yazıydı. Bu acaba boru ve tel sektörüne de yansıdı mı? Birinci sorum bu. Yani yansıdı mı, yansımadı mı? Yani bağımsız
compared with Mr. Dr. I know him also very well. He's coming from the association side, so he's much more familiar with the industries than we are, because I'm coming from the exhibition side. But I must totally agree with what you said, that the world is full of challenges and uncertainties. This is what I also mentioned at the beginning of my presentation. And I always see a chance, not only for countries but also for companies. And this is the reason why such an event like Wire and Tube is so important, especially in these times, because of these challenges and uncertainties, because of the fact that exhibitors and visitors have the opportunity to get in a direct discussion, to get in direct knowledge exchange, to learn more about what's going on. The United States, of course, you have mentioned it. The country itself, or the political leaders of the United States are currently the ones who are occurring these uncertainties, or most of the uncertainties in the world. And coming back to your first question, yes, you're right. The amount of incoming orders in Germany is currently declining. But I would say, from our point of view, what I have learned from our exhibitors is that it's just a short period. We are not talking about a long period. We are talking about a short period. And so therefore, we are quite convinced that the situation will be changed in future. I don't know whether it will change already in 2026, but probably in 2027 or 2028. Nevertheless, the situation, especially in Germany, is, I would say, recovering currently. 2025 was indeed a really bad year, not only in Germany, the German industries, but also for the European industries. One example is the automotive industry, which was always very, very strong in Germany, the strongest industry in Germany, but they are really, really suffering currently. Chemical industry as well. So, in my opinion, it's a short period, and again, it is quite important to be on site, to be part of the exhibition. Otherwise, when you leave or when you miss the upcoming exhibition, you will probably miss a kind of an experience and a kind of knowledge, which is in these times very, very important. And you're also right that we are moving more and more into a multipolar competition. But I would say that this is not new to our exhibitors. Our exhibitors have to deal with it, also with internal or countryside challenges. I would not see it as a disadvantage. Yeah, we all have to deal with it, or to handle these challenges and uncertainties. This is my opinion, coming from the trade show industry. Yeah.
Teşekkür ederiz. Thank you very much.